We're going to be talking about a subject known as reflux, heartburn, or maybe even GERD today. And you can see the two polarities that I'm talking about, so that my thoughts go through when we bring the subject up or when the patient is sitting in front of me. And here's an interesting thing. Depending on where the patient's at, that's where I will pitch the treatment protocol. What I mean by that is often you get patients that come and they're very much used to the medical model, and they would be like taking the proton pump inhibitor, and that's all that they can do. They're not open to maybe really changing their diet or anything else. And that's when you're going to stick to a basic treatment protocol, and you're going to not be explaining too much to them until you can get them on board and they can see that the natural treatments are working. Then on the other spectrum, you get the patient that is all into the natural treatment, and they will do anything. They've just had this reflux for too long, whatever their reasons are, and they're good to go and they're excited to try whatever you're going to suggest. So if we look at reflux or heartburn, what are we talking about? We're talking about where they say that you're getting this movement of hydrochloric acid up from the stomach into the esophagus, causing burning, especially maybe around the throat. And sometimes people have it at night when they lie down. The medical people say that you have too much hydrochloric acid, and that's why you're getting this burning up through the esophagus, often into the throat. And if we look at my homeopathic studies, maybe in functional medicine, we say, no, it's because you have too little hydrochloric acid. Now, if we start from the medical perspective, they give you a proton pump inhibitor, which stops the body from producing this hydrochloric acid. And well, actually, it's true. Often it does work, and that burning does go away as long as you take your proton pump inhibitor. But if we look at a bit of physiology on how the stomach is made, it's got certain valves and reflexes. So when you're going to be eating the food, it goes into the stomach. Now that stomach must be prepared to digest it, digesting protein, and you need to have a very low pH acid, a strong acid. So how the body ensures this is it's got a valve at the top and a valve at the bottom. And if this acid is a strong, low pH acid, it's starting to digest the food, it's going to close this valve here, and it's going to open the valve from the stomach to the small intestine. Now, what happens if your digestion is not strong and you don't have strong hydrochloric acid? It doesn't close the valve here, and then when you lie down, or if you're very stressed, the acid is able to come up through the stomach into the throat, and you get the burning. So the treatment protocol and the rationale is, hey, let us improve the acid production so that the body is able to send the message and close the valve, and there goes your heartburn or your reflux or your GERD if it's happening more often. From a perspective of homeopathy, there's several remedies that we can use. Let's start with carbo-veg, which is actually vegetable charcoal into a homeopathic form, and it's where there's gas and bloating in the stomach, and you've got lots of this gas and the reflux coming up. Then we might try lycopodium. There's also this gas and this bloating, but it's often due or caused by eating onions, garlic. Nux vomica is another one. The typical nux vomica is the sedentary person. They don't get much exercise, and they get the heartburn from spicy foods. Give them homeopathic, and the reflux goes away. Another approach you can look at is even using betaine hydrochloride. Betaine hydrochloride helps the body to increase the acid in the stomach so that this valve does close. Another very important and interesting take on reflux is where we talk about silent reflux or infantile reflux. This is children who they can still be breastfeeding even, and they start getting this reflux, and they determine this by looking in the throat, and it's raw or it's burnt, and homeopathy has a wonderful response to that. There is a specific remedy called Ethusia synapium. It's wonderful, especially if the child has got a reaction to milk, especially if maybe the mother's not breastfeeding but using formula milk and the child's reacting to it. or in that sense, just change the milk. If it's a dairy, make it a substitute to that. They're not taking dairy, they're not allergic to the dairy, and the reflux will also improve. Reflux is often due to, as we spoke about, problems with the stomach, but it can be affected by the liver, especially if you're very stressed. So you might look at certain herbs for the liver, such as milk thistle or chelidonium, and that will just resolve your reflux. Reflux is also maybe an effect from the autonomic nervous system. If you are in this constant fight or flight mechanism, your body is stressed out and it's pumping out this hydrochloric acid when it shouldn't be. And that's often what happens at night with people who've got high cortisol levels because of the stress, and then they get the reflux at night. So rebalancing your cortisol, spending more time in the sun, getting better sleep. You'll see I'm big into lifestyle changes. It's not just about putting the full burden on the chemical medicine or the herb or the homeopathy. That is a great support, but use your body, use your environment to support yourself.